one of my greatest challenges is trying not to become an internet troll. The reason is I don't know why I believe that people with access to the internet would choose to put something that is patently untrue. And I always want to stop them from doing that, but I guess they know that it's the internet and they can find anything they want on there, and if they wanted to find something that was true, then they could. Every now and again, I find myself chasing down this troll hole that I'll call it. And now this isn't me saying, you're stupid, you're ugly. This is me saying, no, Einstein didn't care whether or not people use technology. He didn't think that people who use technology were stupid. He probably would have thought that you were stupid. There's this prevailing notion that we spend too much time on our phones and we spend too much time distracted by the internet. And this is all said by people who give you the impression that they used to read Proust every morning before doing their calisthenics and going out to milk the cows, when in fact they were probably just listening to Morning Zoo radio and getting all of their wacky facts from there. People haven't very much changed. Just the technology to amplify the stupid has improved, but also I think to the good, the technology to improve the people who are willing to be improved. That's gone up too, which is awesome. It's time for the Todcast.
You're listening to the Happy Hour Todcast, presented by GoodCleanFunLife.com. Find us on iTunes by searching GCFL and subscribe today.
Sick in the lane.
I cannot hear you. But you're reacting as if you can hear me, so I guess that's good. Can you hear me, in fact?
Oh, here we go.
There we go. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm Todd from GoodCleanFunLife.com.
I'm Tony Russo, no relation. Got a great show this week. All sorts of fun stuff. A little bit of internet news. Also some beer news. Some out and about news. So let's start off with what you got up to last week. What did you get up to, Todd?
We had a good week, and summer is nearly here and upon us, and we've been doing quite a lot of lining up of events, promos, and just good times, good clean fun. But one of the more enjoyable things that we got the opportunity to do this past weekend was go up to the Tidewater Inn in Easton, Maryland, for the LLS Gala Ball. Is it Gala or Gala?
It's either. Both.
Either. We'll go with either. But yeah, this was This is the Eastern Shore chapter's Man Woman of the Year fundraising event, and it was pretty cool. I mean, we were donating our time to document it and put together a little video, but. Yeah, we got kind of hooked into the whole thing, and there's the boy and girl of the year, and these are two young kids who they weren't part of the fundraising. Basically, you understand the concept, right?
It works like Parrot Head.
Yes, yeah. So whoever raises the most money, they're named the person of the year. And so they go ahead and name a couple of kids who have a good story, and this one little girl was just adorable, and she's been battling blood cancer of some sort, and it's like weeping behind the camera and I'm looking across the room, and Natalie's getting a different shot, and she's weeping as well, and it's I mean, it was just it was pretty funny. But we actually put up a little raw clip on the Facebook page, on Good Clean Fun's Facebook page, and it was just a neat moment because this little girl is looking at a relative or something like that, and just being a little kid and making faces, but I couldn't help but to think is like, this is how this little girl is looking at cancer, and because she's sticking her tongue out and giving the nanny boo boo face, and it was just, I don't know, it was pulling on the heartstrings for sure.
I have to say that I totally did not watch that clip for those very reasons. I'm like, I don't want to see this.
Right. Cute girl. Well, and it's like it was funny too, because they had a big raffle that was there, and one of the things that they were giving away was a chocolate lab. This beautiful chocolate lab puppy was probably just a couple weeks old, and the people who were the owners of the puppy were sitting over here. Long story, spoiler. The little girl with cancer wins the puppy. I mean, it's just like waterworks everywhere.
That's too much.
But it was
to a person.
Yeah, it was a great time for sure, though.
So you guys got to hang out on the porch there and have a couple drinks and have a nice breakfast. Was that breakfast that you had out there?
Yeah, we do. We do. No, at the Tidewater.
Yeah.
We got there a little bit early, so I actually got to try the RAR, the Nanacoke Nectar. Was the first time that I got an opportunity to try one of those. So that was kind of nice. That was a little Friday afternoon before the event. So it was good stuff. And Easton is a crazy place.
Yes, but why do you think so?
Well, even more specifically, what's going on at the Tidewater Inn is almost more ridiculous, because there were 3 or 4 events that were going on at the same location that Friday night. There was a wedding, there was a rehearsal dinner, there was our event, and then they had some other event that was going on at like 10 o'clock at night, and nothing overlapped, and just a bunch of really nicely dressed people.
Yeah.
A little bit maybe a little bit different wealth bracket than here in Ocean City.
Yes, absolutely. And also fewer college kids, or actually probably, I guess, the same amount of college kids as in Ocean City. If you read the news this week, or even if you did, you can Google it right now. It only takes like 4 seconds. Stories are easy to read. Ocean City was supposed to be buried in college kids this year. For a college town takeover, is there an official name for this, or?
It was the college takeover is what everybody kept referring to it as.
And what I love about social media more than anything else is, all right, love-hate, right? I love it and I hate it because it is the best way to make old people freak the hell out.
Right.
No one thinks, anybody sees, and again, this is what I was talking when I started. People see something on the internet, they think it's like seeing something in a newspaper, that like people checked it and there are facts involved and people's reputation are on the line. But it's really like, frat boy 421 bro is like, hey, we're all coming to Ocean City this weekend,
right.
And the next thing you know, the town spends $1 billion on overtime cops.
Yeah, yeah. And there wasn't it wasn't anything out of the normal. There was maybe an altercation here or there, but I mean, I was talking to a friend about the whole idea of the newspapers reporting on it prior to it happening, and inciting crime statistics that happened 3 years ago in a place that is not this place,
someplace else. Yeah.
And it was just kind of the I don't know, I kind of feel like if you're gonna if it's a concern or something like, and you want to try to get out ahead of it and have a have a plan in place and that sort of thing, the first step is not to incite hysteria with the public and get that going.
I'm going to make actually a vaguely irresponsible claim. I'll tell you if it's an irresponsible claim in 1 second. Yes, this was a child who wrote the story for the Daily Times, so that could have something to do with it. I was going to say that it was that, like, Brian Shane is a good reporter, but he's also dying to get more stories in the in the USA Today, and I think sometimes he makes attempts. You know what I mean?
Little.
I think
Promote.
sometimes he's a little too he's a little excited about getting that kind of thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to drive better and more traffic. He's a guy who drives traffic. I think he's looking to get. He loves Ocean City, but I think he would love to be picked up in the USA Today even more than he is, which is sometimes with some regularity. He's had a couple stories picked up by the Associated Press, which made the national stories, which is cool. Except that, do you know how many more dollars you get for
like
every
one?
newspaper? None.
None.
So yeah, if the Associated Press or one of the bigger papers picks up your story and reprints it with your name and your picture and your social security number, you don't get any more money. But it's also about prestige. The more often, I guess, you hit I don't even know how it works, but he seems excited about it.
There you go. Little bragging rights.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there was just a child covering it, and I mean, maybe Brian left. I have no idea what's going on with Brian.
Just a child.
Well, the Daily Times. One of my issues with them has always been that they value some but not many reporters, so they cycle through people, and because they're a corporation, they cycle through children, and so they don't have much of an institutional memory. So it's like, hey, you're just out of college, you can spell sometimes, you're hired.
Right.
Go write something exciting about Ocean City, So
yeah,
it's tough, but it's always good to see Ocean City look ridiculous.
Yeah,
makes me happy.
It was and it turned out to be, like I said, just another day, or another weekend in Ocean City prior to. I mean, I'm sure there were some incidences and that sort of thing, but I don't know. It got everybody in a tizzy.
If there were zero instances, then literally nothing would have happened.
Right.
And people would just be even if everyone was just standing around Ocean City, that would count as like a happening. Like nobody moved in Ocean City. This was less interesting than that.
Right. Well, I tell you what, Tony, it was good to actually see you in person. Now that we've been doing the Todcast via Google Hangouts, we don't see each other face to face very often, and we did last week.
Yes, that was very cool. We went out to Snow Hill to see the new barleys that they'll be using in the local for Burley Oak. One of the best quotes I had from that night. I'm sorry, just up to speed for the 10 of you who don't know. Burley Oak Brewery has partnered with the local farmer maybe 3 years ago, whenever they opened, 3 years ago. And the idea is that they're going to malt their own barley, and so they can make beer that's truly local hops, local grain.
Yep.
Local everything, and they're calling it local with a K. And it's really cool. And this is the first batch they were able to brew came out in like January, late last year, either December or early this year, January. And it's a fine beer. There's nothing the matter with it at all. And I was actually talking. I'd never had it before, and I was talking to Aaron, the brewmaster, when they were handing out the beers. And I'm like, so what is this? And he's like, well, we just wanted to make sure the barley works. This is a pale ale. He's like, we weren't taking any chances whatsoever.
Right.
The only chance we took with this beer was using malts that had never been proven before. But everything else, yeah. And pale ales are easy to get right, and if you get them wrong, they don't care very much unless you get them very, very wrong. And this was a perfectly acceptable pale ale. It'd be nice to see what else they do with them, and it looks like they're adding another barley, and maybe they'll make couple different kinds. Speaking with the farmer, Brooks Clayville, he was saying, he gave me the impression that he doesn't like the Charles variety of barley as much as he likes other varieties. So that's why he's testing out some other ones. And I reminded him that my book is almost finished, and he's going to have to stay with Charles Barley for at least a little while longer.
At least until it's out there in public, right?
Absolutely. So that was the event, and you got some great shots, and there was that epic rainbow shot. It was it was almost as if it was staged. It's going to look staged. People are going to call bullshit in Photoshop on those
Right,
photos.
right. Well, and it's funny too because I definitely had that thought of the quintessential, field shot of, sunlit in the back, walking, and the hand just, brushing right along the the top
Right.
of the grain.
Could he have brushed that any more awkwardly, do you think?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you say brush that woodenly. I just heard you say, don't be afraid to let your hand dangle that. And he's like, whack, 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 whack. It's like a cat.
Yeah. Well, and actually, did a little review of the footage, and there'll be some good stuff in that, and that will definitely be in the Kickstarter video, which we're gonna be launching here in a couple weeks, and looking to get stuff, get some money, help people get involved with Burley Oak, and help with the canning line, which will put the local beer in a can and be able to send it all over the 13 colonies.
That's very cool. No one asked me, but now that you haven't asked me, I'm going to have to follow up on it. I wonder if Brian has considered getting a movable canning line.
Yeah.
I interviewed a guy this week who actually contracts his canning out. There's a truck that runs the region, and it does the 6 or 7 breweries. He does a brewery a day every other week or something like that. And he'll go out there, and actually, it's 2 days at the brewery. He has 7. He does them every other week. And he goes out, and they actually just run hoses out to his truck. Beer goes in the front, cans come out the back, and then he moves on to the next brewery.
Wow, that's a great idea.
It's a brilliant idea, yeah. The guy who, if you get a chance to watch Beer with Strangers, it's worth watching. It's very good, or listen to it, rather. It's Augie Carton of Carton Brewing in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, which is not far where I'm from. And his original plan was to buy a canning line, and then when he was canning line shopping, he realized he didn't have enough room for it.
Yeah.
Because he was growing so fast, he wanted to keep adding tanks. So instead, he went to buy one of these trucks and figured he'd keep it in a trailer out behind the brewery and just use it when necessary. And the guy he was going to buy from said, well, we actually can't sell you one because we can only sell one per region. We already sold it to a guy in your region. Why don't you call him and see what his deal is? And it turned out to be the best decision both of them ever made. So they're working together, and it's worth doing. If you're looking to expand, I mean, just canning local is one thing, but canning local and Rise Up and whatever they're making over in Parsonsville, Bergness. That could be something that could really drive revenues in a way that just canning one beer on a line couldn't.
Well, and what's cool about that too is the whole collaborative nature of the brewing, of the real craft brewers, and that sort of thing. So that's something that they're faced with now. They have a new brew house is coming, and that's why they're doing the Kickstarter for the canning line. And it's a smaller, it's semi-automated. It takes one person to man. But yeah, you could definitely put it on a truck.
Yeah, no,
put it on the bed of Brian's pickup truck and just and have it all out in the open, and
drive it from brewery to brewery, and it'd be, well, in the wintertime that would suck, but when it wasn't the wintertime or raining or really hot out, it would be fun.
So that 2 days a year would be awesome. I think we have those 2 days this weekend.
So I ran into a Todcast fan earlier today, and I
did you really?
About that? Yes, Jill Haschel.
Okay. Hosh.
She was one of the original partners at Baked Desserts.
Oh yeah.
Right. She runs marketing now for Vernon Powell Shoes, and I was in there doing a story on Vernon Powell Shoes, and she's like, "So you guys still do the Todcast?" And I almost said thanks for listening, but I chickened out, and I did. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's not on your iPod anymore because we moved it off and onto the Google Plus Hangouts. But if you look up Todd, he can give you all the information on it. Blah blah blah.
Nice.
That way I gave her an out, so when I see her next week, she's not like, oh, I didn't pay any attention to you at all.
Go talk to somebody else to get
Right.
the information that I could give you right here.
And that way I don't come off as the bad guy. Only because we got a little bit of a late start, and because of technical difficulties, I'm going to have to wind it up now.
Okay.
Because I have to go to my day job, but I'm not going to brush my hair, and that'll teach them. But before I do, let's go over the calendar. What do we got coming up this week?
Well, this week we're kicking off the Summer Honey promo program, so we're going to be at 8 bars in Ocean City with a step and repeat, all outside bars, and taking pictures and hopefully finding who will be OC's Summer Honey. It's going to be hilarious, I think. And then that's the big weekend is air show weekend. So we have a couple events that we're doing with Bacardi and Jack Daniels, and people jumping out of planes when liquor's involved. I mean, what could go wrong? So
I was fortunate enough or unfortunate enough. I've never been involved with the air show. The only opportunity I ever had was they asked me if I wanted to cover the parachute guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go up with the parachute guys. You go and you hang out with them in the airplane, and they're like, okay, well, you have to be at Wallops Island at 3:30 in the morning and bring your winter coat. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't need the story that badly. I'll do it some other time.
I'll wake up at 11, go to the beach, and and I'll meet them there.
Right, I'll meet them down on the beach. But actually, we always had someone down on the beach shooting, so I never had to do that. The opportunity I missed was going down to Wallops, and maybe I'll blog about that sometime in 12 months or so. But today's not the day. It's cold up there, and I was like, I don't know if I even have a winter coat, and I don't want to find out the hard way that, my jacket's not going to cut it.
Right.
But I've got lots more stuff, but I am so sorry, and I am all the way out of time.
That's all right.
So I got stuff, but it's too bad. How about you?
I got plenty.
All right. Well, then tune in next week. But until then, may Todd give you the sense to live in a small town.
We'll see you next week at Happy Hour.
Cheers. Cheers.
.com for podcasts, event calendars, articles, and more. Call or text us at 703-828-GCFL.